You know, for those of us from Texas, and or those of us who just love psychedelic music and garage music, especially from the 60s era, or any combination thereof, the 13th floor elevators were essential. I mean, an essential part of that puzzle. And for some reason, certain friends of our channel, and a lot of other people out there that I've talked to or just heard talk about them, I'll name one, Vinyl Richie in particular, just can't seem to get past Tommy Hall's Electric Jug. Have watched some of Vinyl Richie's videos when he mentions the 13th floor elevators. He doesn't like the Electric Jug. And I know there's many other people who don't like it. I'm going to argue that Electric Jug is just one of several key components to the unique sound of the 13th floor elevators. And that's what this video is about. So let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome to Amity Tracks, and welcome to an episode I've been wanting to do for a while now on the 13th floor elevators. And so we're going to talk elevators. This great Texas psychedelic band that came out of Austin, Texas, with really three core members. The rhythm section kind of rotate. You had rotating guys in and out of it, but it's really kind of three core members of 13th floor elevators. Of course, there is Rocky Erikson, uh, infamous acid casualty, kind of along the lines of a Skip Spence or a Sid Barrett, but just a primal singer. I mean, incredible singer. And so vocals and rhythm guitar. Then you had Tommy Hall, who wrote most of the lyrics, sort of developed the philosophy of this band, if you will, and we'll talk about that. And played the aforementioned, somewhat notorious Electric Jug, of which I will try and give you a demonstration here momentarily. And then finally, Stacey Sutherland, who on lead guitar, who I think criminally underrated guitar player from this era. Just a fantastic player, not just leads, but just the snaking rhythms and just a great guitar player. All three of these guys sort of had a tragic, story, post elevators, and we'll get into all that. I want to talk, kind of tell the story of this band, this legendary band. Really active for not a very long period of time. 1965 to 1969, essentially. 3 studio albums and a fake live album. Now, of course, there was plenty of posthumous, kind of dubious live recordings released, a lot of comps, and one essential tribute album, which I will discuss as well, because that actually plays a key role in sort of the rediscovery of these guys. So, like I said, formed in Austin, did most of their recording in studios in Houston and in Dallas. Played a lot, in these major cities in San Antonio, major cities in Texas. Uh, they do, go out to California for a little while, and we'll talk about that in a second as well. It can be argued. I've heard it argued. I'm not saying this is definitive, but they're at least in the conversation for being the first like true psychedelic band. I mean, their debut, The Psychedelic Sounds of the 13th Floor Elevators, was released in 1966. That's right on the cusp there of the beginnings of psychedelic music. And there's a great documentary called "You're Gonna Miss Me." It's really a documentary about Rocky Erikson, but obviously there's a lot of talk in there about 13th floor elevator years. And at least according to that documentary credits Tommy Hall with inventing the term psychedelic rock. Yeah, I don't know how true that is, but yeah, I'm telling there's a source. And Tommy Hall really was like a true believer. Um, and he proselytized the benefits of using psychedelics like acid. In fact, he insisted the band perform their shows on acid. I think the voluminous amounts of acid taken by these guys did contribute to a lot of the issues that some of these guys had later in life. And again, we'll talk about that. Um, let's let's go ahead and get the elephant out of the room. Talk about that electric jug. So yeah, so Tommy Hall, like I said, he was sort of the voice, the philosophy behind. If you read the if you read the back, well, no, actually, this it's not written by Tommy Hall, but there's I know there's some liner notes somewhere where Tommy Hall just talks all about his sort of psychedelic philosophies, and he wrote the lyrics and he played that jug. So how's that jug work? So I've got something here. Where did I put it? Yeah, there it is. All right, so Tommy Hall has a jug. Now, he would have had like one of those cool sort of old timey, probably clay jugs, or due to our strict budget here on Amity Tracks, I'm just going to use this. I'm not going to go buy a beautiful clay jug to use. So he had a jug. He had his microphone, and he sort of put it up like so, and put the mic. And there's one other element that we're missing here. There we go. That's the element we were missing. So anyway, he would, kind of on stage, hold the jug like this. Although it's not really, this isn't really echoing all that well. But he got a great echo, and he had the microphone there. And then, well, if you ever listen to their music, you know the sound, right? That sort of. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Well, so yeah, I hope that was helpful to you, that demonstration. But anyway, they go out to San Francisco. So they think they're gonna make the big time, right? They go out to San Francisco, and become kind of a respected group in that scene, that late '60s psychedelic scene, along with fellow Texan or Texas transplant Janis Joplin. Yeah, so they never really kind of reached the top echelon there. So maybe second tier, I don't know, but they're respected out there. But they never really kind of break through for whatever reason. And then eventually they kind of come. Maybe they ran out of money. I don't remember exactly why, but they return home to Texas, and then things really kind of fall apart from there. There's a lot of drug use. Rocky Erickson's, I think, mental issues are starting to really kind of become evident, and drug busts, and especially with Rocky Erikson, he's arrested. At his trial, the judge basically offers him the options, so you can go to prison, or you can go get treatment, at a mental facility. He picked the mental treatment, and by most accounts, that's where he was really never the same when he emerged from whatever they did to him in there in that institution. But that combined with just some, what most agree is some pre-existing mental illness there that maybe was exacerbated or triggered by the huge amounts of acid he was taking, and plus whatever was done to him in that treatment center. Who knows? But excuse me, but Erikson was really never the same after that. But anyway, we'll kind of return to their the post 13th floor elevator story after we talk about this music, because that's kind of a sad story. But let's talk about this music. So, like I said, three studio records in a pretty short period of time here. You've got 1966, like I said, the psychedelic sounds of 13th floor elevators, and then 1967. I'll kind of talk about these records together because they really do kind of go together. Easter Everywhere. Now, I have this on picture disc. Actually, rather, I had it on black vinyl, but I just found it on picture disc. So that's the one I have. But this is the disc, but that's also the album artwork that you would see on that regular cover. Oh, this is kind of cool on the backside. You do have nice imagery, pictures of the guys in the band, track listing, all of that. But yeah, that would be the artwork of Easter Everywhere. Like I said, we can kind of talk about these records together, because both are considered just absolute essential classics of psychedelic music. And oh, this is cool. My debut is on red vinyl, so all kinds of special vinyl. Now, opening the first record, of course, opens with that huge, just garage blast of "You're Gonna Miss Me," that primal wail from Rocky Erikson. Just listen to the opening of that song, and he like that, just that the energy in that voice just blow you away. Um, that song, of course, was featured on the Essential Nuggets collection, and I think that's in part what sort of kept these guys alive in a lot of people's memories and minds. Is "You're Gonna Miss Me" being one of the key tracks off the legendary Nuggets collection. But anyway, the one of the key elements, other than Tommy Hall's Electric Jug and Rocky Erickson's primal wail and Stacy Sutherland's fantastic snaking guitar work, is sort of the lo-fi recording, which I argue, and many other fans argue, like adds to this murky, spooky ambience that are on these two records. Now it's interesting. I remember reading a quote from Stacy Sutherland somewhere where he said that wasn't intentional. It's just because the Houston studio where they recorded most of this stuff like really sucked, and so that's why it sounds so murky and lo-fi. He said that's not what they meant. But happy accidents. I mean, whatever. I think it sounds awesome. I think it sounds awesome, and just such. I mean, not just "You're Gonna Miss Me," but so looking at that debut record, Reverberation, Fire Engine, Monkey Island, just that sort of funk, that groove on Monkey Island. It's really. I mean, it's hard to pull out individual songs because the whole thing just works as this wonderful piece, and the reason I would give the slight edge to Easter Island from these two classics here is because I think there's a little bit more variety in the sound. Here, I gotta look at the track listing here, and opening with like the 8 minute, I think, masterpiece, "A Slip Inside This House," just this hypnotic groove on there. Slide Machine, "Nobody to Love," Earthquake, "Levitation," leave your body behind. But for me, what pushes this one slightly over the debut are the two kind of acoustic numbers. It gives you a little more variety. I think they're haunting. They're beautiful. There's the original "Dust," and then this gorgeous take on Bob Dylan's "It's All Right, It's All Over Now, Baby Blue," which is just entitled "Baby Blue" on their record here. But those two songs for me kind of make Easter Everywhere sort of the masterpiece. But the debut is not far behind. They did put out this live album, which actually was a bunch of demos and alternate takes, and they added crowd noise on after the fact, in the studio. So it's kind of BS. But and I want to talk about their third record for a minute. Really, the reason I'm doing this video now, "Bull of the Woods" from 1969. Now I've been wanting this on vinyl for a long time. It was very hard to find. But the reason I kind of even got back into thinking about 13th Floor Elevators recently is the most recent record store day, back in October. This was one of the releases. And this one I've got on white vinyl. So I don't have a regular copy of any of these. But anyway, white vinyl. But I guess that's appropriate. Why not, right? Psychedelic stuff. But yeah, this one was long sort of the forgotten, stepchild, of these records. And Rocky Erikson and Tommy Hall had much less involvement. They're only really uh, kind of fully involved on just a handful of songs on here. And so this is really Stacy Sutherland's project. And it's so sad because even Stacey Sutherland, was disappointed in it and kind of and like I said, it's one that for a long time was sort of considered, just this little afterthought. But it's really gained sort of a cult following, and put me in that cult because I love this. I think it is fantastic. I think Sutherland did an excellent job of putting this together. Now, some of the most memorable songs on here are the ones where Rocky and Tommy are involved. Man, it closes with just this absolute, probably the most haunting track in their whole catalog, is, which features Rocky Erikson and just this murky guitar. Sounds like it's underwater or something, but May the Circle Remain Unbroken. It's just haunting. It really is. But man, yeah, I really like this whole thing. I think this whole thing it's a great listen. Ripe for rediscovery if you have sort of forgotten about it, because a lot of people have rediscovered it. And again, the whole reason I'm making this video is when I was finally able to pick this up, and it sort of got me back into the 13th floor elevators mood, in the first place. So that's it. I mean, that's the discography. I don't even want me to rank them. I guess Bull of the Woods I'd put at number 3, but a strong 3. I love that record, like I just said. And probably the debut in the 2 slot, Easter Everywhere, number 1. Couple other things I want to show you. This before I ever got this stuff on vinyl, I had this box set on CD, which is fantastic. It's called the Psychedelic World of the 13th Floor Elevators. I bought this a long time ago. I don't know how easy it is to find anymore, but it really is kind of everything. So it's got, like it's 3 CDs. These never put out on vinyl, I don't think. But so on the first disc, it's got the debut record, and then a live show live in San Francisco in 1966. And then on disc 2, it's got all of Easter Everywhere, and then live in Texas, 1967, and then a bunch of other bonus tracks from from Rocky Erickson's band, the Spades, were around before 13th Floor was formed, and then just some demos. Then on disc 3, it's got that fake live album. Live is the title, is on there, and then Bull of the Woods is on there, and then also some bonus tracks after that. Just kind of a couple of interesting tracks that were recorded after Bull of the Woods, kind of the last gasps there. So, I mean, this is worth having if you really want like a completist and you don't mind the CD format. I mean, I love it. I love it. And there are a ton of comps out there. This is just one I had on CD. Absolutely the best of the 13th Floor Elevators. There's Rocky. And there's a bunch of comps out there like this. I do want to mention this. This is called Where the Pyramid Meets the Eye, a tribute to Rocky Erikson. So it's not just 13th Floor Elevators stuff. It's 13th Floor Elevators and Rocky Erikson solo stuff. But it's one of those tribute albums, where you have a bunch of other artists doing, the songs. But you got ZZ Top on here. You've got REM on here. Who else? Let's see. ZZ Top, John Wesley Harding, Poi Dog Pondering, Primal Scream, Doug Somm, Richard Lloyd, Butthole Surfers. Who else might you? Jesus and Mary Chain. Yeah, I mean, some cool names, and it's a great listen. But more importantly, I don't know what year this came out. I didn't write it down. Anyway, when this came out, for some reason I'm thinking sometime in the 90s or the 80s, late 80s. I don't know, somewhere around there. But when this came out, it really kind of triggered this rediscovery of 13th Floor Elevators music, and so that served a cool purpose. Now, Rocky Erikson put out a bunch of stuff later, post 13th Floor. I mean, he struggled with mental illness really the rest of his life. There were periods where it was kind of under control, and kind of he was kind of triumphant return to music at different points, and other times where it really kind of consumed him. He was actually thrown in jail in the late 80s in Austin for mail fraud because he was going around where kind of near his apartment stealing mail from other people's mailboxes and then like stapling it onto his all over his wall. It just, stuff like that. But when Rocky kind of got it together, he was great. Some really interesting solo records out there. Here's a great one stop that I could recommend. It's a 2 CD set. Again, I don't know how easy this is to find now. I bought this a long time ago, but it's called "I Have Always Been Here Before," the Rocky Erikson anthology. And so, it's got it's got a big handful of 13th Floor Elevator songs on there, but the real value is all this, the solo material. And very generous. I got 22 tracks on disc 1 and 21 tracks on disc 2. Just some great stuff, man. Songs like it's a cold night for alligators. Um, I Have Always Been Here Before is a beautiful, great acoustic song. What else is good? Don't Slander Me. I've always really liked. Yeah, just real good stuff. A lot of it is kind of like horror movie imagery and all that. I guess Rocky was kind of into that stuff, science fiction stuff, but it's good stuff. It's good stuff. And his voice was really still there for a long time. But anyway, I think in Rocky's later years, from my understanding, was he really kind of got some of the treatment that he needed, in a much better place. Still performed and recorded music and all that. But anyway, he died in 2019. Stacey Sutherland, real sad story with him. Just kind of fell into a bunch, I think, a lot of alcoholism and drug abuse, and really stopped playing guitar into the 70s, and was shot and killed in Houston by his wife in the late 70s. I forget the late 70s, some point. Some drunken argument early one morning in the Montrose area of Houston. Tommy Hall, as far as I know, is still with us. I was kind of researching online. I found a great Houston Press story. Houston Press is kind of the uh, independent publications in Houston, like most major cities have. And they did kind of this detailed story about 10 years ago on Tommy Hall, sort of what he's up to now as in 10 years ago. And it was a really interesting story. I read it, and he was living in San Francisco. Didn't play the jug or any other music, for a long time. Still very much experimenting with substances and kind of searching. You kind of read the tone of the article. He's kind of got some issues as well, full of strange conspiracy theories and I mean all kinds of stuff. So anyway, kind of sad end for a lot of these guys in this band, but that should not overshadow the amazing music of the 13th Floor Elevators, and I think Rocky Erikson afterwards. Well worth searching out too. So let's talk 13th Floor Elevators or Rocky Erikson or both in the comments here. What do you guys think? Are you bothered by the jug, or do you like it? What do you think of the 13th Floor Elevators and their music? Good or bad? Let's talk in the comments here. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Please do subscribe to the channel. That really helps us out. Hit the bell for notifications. Like the videos. Share the videos. All that great stuff. And we'll see you next time on Amity Tracks.